All right, in this lesson, we are going to be looking at lesson 3.8, dividing 3 and 4-digit dividends. Again, we should be looking at lesson 8. I know we skipped over a few lessons here, but you're ready for it. So in our first example, we're going to be looking at how in a 4-hour period, 852 people rode an amusement park ride. If the same number of people rode the ride each hour, how many people rode the ride in the first hour? So we first need to think, what is our division problem? Well, it's going to be 852 divided by 4 because we have the number of people divided by the number of hours. So if I am going to estimate, kind of ballpark, will this be about the right answer? Well, 852, they made it 900. I don't like that. I'm going to make this a little bit easier to work with and say that it's going to be, let's say simply 880. Only because I'm going to use compatible numbers, compatible numbers and say 880. Well, 88 and 4 is going to be 22, and I have 1 0. So it should be around 200 or 220. So let's double check our answer and say, well, our steps are divide, multiply. Oh, let's write that with the M first. Multiply, subtract, and this is where we check what we're doing. Check if it is less than our divisor, and then if it is, we bring down, we carry on with our work, and then the whole thing we then repeat. And doing so, we do this for each number in our dividend. So if we look at our problem here, 4 goes into 8 twice. And then I'm looking at this and saying, well, 4 times 2 is 8. I subtract 8 and 8, I get 0. 0 is less than 4, so I bring down my 5. Now I repeat. 4 goes into 5 how many times? Once. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. And I check, is 1 less than 4? It is, so I continue and I bring down my 2. Now I'm looking at 12. 4 goes into 12 how many times? 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. I subtract, I have 0. So I have no remainders. So our answer would be 213 people rode the ride in the first hour. And that would be if they rode the same number of people rode for each hour. Well, that would work out. And we could check our work because the opposite of division is multiplication. So 213, of course, we don't do our multiplication horizontally. We multiply going vertically here. So 213 times 4. 4 and 3 is 12. 2 don't carry the 1. 4 and 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. And let's write that just a little cleaner. Is 5. 4 and 2 is 8. And we get back to our original number, 852. So does our answer work? Yes. Is it reasonable? Is this about what we said, saying 880 divided by 4, and we got 200, right? It was 220. And if that is, let's write 220 here. And 220 is about 213. So yes, our answer is reasonable. All right, so let's look at example 2 here. Now we're dealing with a 4-digit dividend. So our first thought is I want to estimate. I want to make sure our answer is going to be reasonable, see if it comes out to be what we predict. So I'm going to change my 7,946, and I've got 6. Well, I need to think of what are some compatible numbers, something close to 7,946. Well, let's make that what 6 times 12 would be, and that's going to be 72. So let's make that 7,200. All right. So when I say 7,200 divided by 6, well, since I have 2 zeros here, that should be about 1,200. So our answer, let's see if when in the end we get an answer about 1,200. Let's check our work. So again, I divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down, and I repeat. So 6 goes into 7 once. 6 times 1 is 6. I subtract 7 minus 6 is 1. This is our most common mistake I'm seeing is when I say 6 goes into 7 once, people are wanting to put the 1 down below, and that's not correct. We need to put the 1 above, then I multiply and put the 6 below. 7 minus 6 is 1. 1 is less than 6. Good, so we carry on. We bring down a 9. 6 goes into 19 3 times. 6 times 3 is 18. I subtract, I get 1. Again, 1 is less than 6, so we carry on. 6 goes, and then we bring down our 4. 6 goes into 14. We're looking at that and saying, oh, twice, because 2 times 6 is 12. I now subtract, and I get 2. 2 is less than 6. Good. We carry on. We bring down our 6. Do you see how this is a pattern of repetitive action, right? So I bring down the 6. 6 times what? How many times can I go into 26 without going over? Well, I can do that 4 times because 4 times 6 is 24. I subtract and I have 2. Now, I don't have anything left in my divisor, or I'm sorry, in my dividend. So that means that 6 is, or is that 2 is our remainder, and I could then have an answer, a quotient for a division problem of 1,324 remainder 2. Now, I do want to start looking at our quotients as saying, well, this is actually 1,324 and 2/6, which then we can look at our fraction and say, well, they have a common factor of 2 because 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this could be reduced to 1,324 and 1/3. So we can start looking at our remainders as fractions, putting them over our divisor, and then simplifying if we can. So now we look at our problem or our answer and say, well, 1,324 times 6. If we multiply that out, we should be able to get close to our answer, 1,324 times 6. Let's break this down. 4 and 6 is 24. 4 down, carry the 2. 6 and 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14, carry the 1. 6 and 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19, carry the 1. 6 and 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. That's good that we get the answer that they have, right? 7,944. But that is not what we started with. Remember, we started with 7,946. Well, what is the difference? Well, we, again, have that remainder 2 that we would add to that answer. So 7,944 plus 2 would give us that 7,946 that we started as our dividend. Let's look at one more here for within our guided practice. Now, 2 goes into 2 once. I can then multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. I subtract, I get 0. 0 is less than 2, so I bring down my 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. I subtract, I get 0. 0 is less than 2. Good, I carry on. Bring down my 8. Do you see how we're doing this all nice and vertical? You should. 2 goes into 8 4 times. I multiply 2 times 4, I get 8. I have 0 remainder, so that would be our proper answer. At this point, if you want to continue working on the independent practice, that's great. Otherwise, move on to the next activity or task.